Okay, so I'm going to trim this vase that I threw a couple of days ago. The piece is leather hard, and so it's ready. I'm going to use a trimming chuck just because I think that if I had this flipped over, have it on the pliers wheel, that with this narrow mouth, the piece could topple easily. And so there are trimming chucks that are in better condition than this one. But anyway, they come in different sizes. You can make your own. I made these a long time ago. Probably should have made them thicker so they'd be more durable. So it's just this simple shape. And if you make it thicker, dry it, bisfire it, and you have it in the studio to use. Have some different size ones with different size openings to accommodate the mouth or the top of the vase. Okay, so this fits in. It just barely works. There's a little gap. What I'll do is I'll put some clay here to fill that gap so that it stays secure. First of all, with the trimming chuck, what you want to do is, once you've found the one that's going to work for you, you want to center it. You want to center it. Okay, and then use wads of clay to secure it to the wheel head. Okay, make sure it's still centered. Looks pretty good. And, oh yeah. Just put some clay in here. Like a ring of clay that's same level throughout. And I'll make a little seat to take up the gap since this trimming chuck wasn't the right size. Okay, perfect. Okay, and next thing you want to do, you want to accomplish two things. You want this to be level, and you want this to be centered. So let's see, I'm going to try to keep my finger at the same height. There, there. It's hitting on this side, so I'll tilt it slightly. Okay, it's pretty level, and let's see if it's centered. It's hitting there. I centered not on this very edge because when I drew the wire to free the pot from the bat, there could have been some distortion, so I'll use an area. I'll gauge the centering on an area that hasn't been disturbed at all, so it's hitting there. Okay, I'll move this entire thing over just a bit. Okay, so that fine-tunes the centering. And if you like, if you want to make sure that the pot is very secure, you can pack some clay in there, some additional clay to prevent it from shifting. Okay. All right, so we'll finish this off. I like to get the profile of the outside done, mapped out or finished before I trim this area. So there have been instances where I trimmed this first and decided I trimmed too far out, and then I decided that I wanted this outside to be narrower. So I've trimmed too far out here, trimmed this narrower, and then I don't have a foot ring left. So if you do the outside first and then deal with the inside after, you're not going to run into that dilemma. So we're getting rid of some weight. And we're finishing the shape. Okay. So with pots that I can't stick a hand inside the vase, I can't stick one hand inside the vase, another hand on the outside to feel how much space is in between, to get an idea how thick the floor is. So in situations like this, I have to either remember how thick the floor was when I threw it, or standardize the thickness of the floors of certain pots that I make. So then I know how much clay I can trim away and not bust all the way through. So that would be very disappointing. It's too tall. I'm gonna have to stand up. Okay. Right. I'll use a little bit of water on the lip and then just smooth it out with my fingers just to add some refinement. To tell how deep this is, you can always take a ruler, some sort of straight edge, put it across, and that way you can see if you're going to have enough glaze clearance. Okay, so that is trimming a vase, and the wet clay is sticky, but the leather hard clay is not, and so it's easy to remove that clay once you're done. So that's the finished vase. All right.